Welcome to the Time to Level Up podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Liebross. Each week, I focus on the systems, strategy, and big thinking you need to CEO your business and life to the next level. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to today's podcast. So, a lot of you listeners, not all, but a lot of you are moms. And when we chat about your goals and ambitions and priorities, there's a lot of interference from all things related to being a mom. Now, I'm all for moms and family coming first. But I often see that thinking is getting in the way of you being the woman you want to be, that ambitious woman you want to be. And I also am a proponent of the fact that you can be both ambitious and go after dreams and have an amazing professional and business life, and with the capital A-N-D, be a mom. So today on the podcast, I'm talking to Nikki Oden. Nikki Oden is a lawyer and a mom mentor who helps working moms battle burnout by teaching them how to own their days and crush their goals without mom guilt. Sounds like our kind of girl, doesn't she? So she walked away, though, from a lucrative career as a commercial litigator from a prestigious international law firm to become a stay-at-home mom. And in that time, she really learned firsthand how easy it is to completely lose herself. So she had to do something about it. And eventually, through a lot of trial and improvement, she figured out how to harmonize what she wants as an ambitious woman with who she wants to be as a mother, and is passionate about teaching other working moms how to do the same. Her mission is to help those moms love their mom lives and a little more, and love themselves. So Nikki is the founder of Your Ideal Mom Life, host to the Love Your Mom Life podcast, and author of But Definitely Wear Mascara. Welcome, Nikki Oden, to the podcast.
Hey, Time to Level Up listeners. Welcome back to the podcast. And I today am so thrilled and happy to have Nikki Oden with me. I'm going to let her introduce herself. But I do want to let you know that she came to me through a mutual friend. And when I told her, the friend, hey, I would love to have an expert come on the podcast to talk about all things being a mom, my friend Angie said, you must have Nikki. So here is Nikki. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much, Andrea. I love that story. It was an awesome way to meet you.
Yes. So tell everybody who you are, what you do, who you are mom to, all the things.
I'm a happy wife and mom of two. I have a little boy who is 9 and a daughter who's 10. So 17 months apart. I'll let you imagine what that was like in the beginning. I am also a lawyer and a mom mentor. I have a podcast called Love Your Mom Life. And I recently wrote a book called But Definitely Wear Mascara, which is full of hacks to help you love your mom life and yourself a little more. And I just have a huge heart for working moms, being one myself, and helping them battle burnout by teaching them how to own their day so they can crush their goals without the mom guilt.
I love it. I love it. And I have a handful of attorney clients. So if you guys are listening, this is especially for you. Especially for you.
I get it.
Yes. So I recently had a client get on a coaching call, and she said to me, I am just tired of making dinner, and it takes a lot of time, and her kids are like teens and preteens, and half the time no one wants to eat it, and it makes me feel horrible, and I really think I should be working on my business instead, but if I tell them I'm not making dinner, then I feel guilty, and I don't know. What do you have to say to that?
I have so much to say.
I know, so just tell us.
The first thing I want to say is I feel you, girlfriend. I hate when I spend time making dinner and I get the nose turned up. I'm not eating that. I literally want to walk out of the room. So number one, you're validated. I totally hear that. And you're not alone. Now, I get the desire to want to make your kids dinner. And I do think it's important to have meals together and to cook them, right? Otherwise, we're spending money maybe needlessly. However, you can set yourself up for better success by just taking some time on one day of the week, maybe on a Sunday, to plan the menu and involve your kids in that. So if they don't like it, well, you chose that, honey. Involve them in the menu, let them know what's coming, because kids kind of like to have that structure and view of you, right? They like to be involved and they like to feel like that they were consulted. And then just get things to a point where maybe you just have to stick it in the oven, or you just have to compile a few things. And that doesn't have to be every night. It can just be, some of those, maybe it's a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday kind of thing. So that's one thing you can do. And then another thing you can do is just remember that actually cooking a home cooked meal is what I would consider a rubber ball versus a glass ball. And this is what I do with moms all the time, is we talk about the different areas of our lives representing different balls that we're juggling. And if we need to drop a ball, we always drop the one that will bounce versus dropping the glass ball. So your important relationships are a glass ball. Absolutely. So your relationship with your children, making that time to sit down with them, be eyeball to eyeball, talk about your day, that is a glass ball. What you eat is a rubber ball. So if there are some nights where you've got to phone it in and order something, it's okay. Give yourself that permission.
I love that analogy, the glass ball versus the rubber ball. Yeah, because when I was coaching her, I said, well, what happens if you don't make dinner? Like, what's going to happen? Right. Is anything going to happen? Is that people, well, they might make something from the freezer. They might order it. Okay. And I said, in my view, the most important part of, say, mealtime is just the togetherness. It's not the meal.
Right.
So, but I love that glass ball, rubber ball. What do you think are some other rubber balls that moms could potentially have permission to drop, we'll say, that kind of make that work-life balance more balanced? What do you think?
So I think we put an impossible standard on ourselves sometimes as moms, especially when we're running a business, or even when we're employees and just working towards a goal. And some of those impossible standards include things like home cooked meals, or just being that sort of perfecty mom who's going to volunteer at every single event at school or be at every single party. I mean, it would be nice, right? Sure. But if you can't, it's okay. You have to let go of the guilt. And I want to talk about the guilt in a second, because it's a choice. We got to let go of the guilt and think about all of the good that we're creating with our kids. So, okay, I can only volunteer once this entire quarter, or maybe once this last half of the year, but at least I'm here this one time. I'm going to make the best of it and treat that time as a glass ball, be totally present, all in. I'm not checking my phone. I'm not looking at email, not wondering when it's going to be over. I'm there for my kid. And then when I'm not there, I'm not there, and it's okay. They're going to survive and they're going to relish that time they had with me. So things like volunteering for the bake sale or being, room mom. If you don't have the bandwidth for that, don't berate yourself because you don't. You're still creating amazing things for your kids, and they're watching you, and they are absorbing more than they let on, and they watch you go for big things and do hard things and achieve goals. And that is really important too. It's just as important as showing up for the bake sale and all those other things you're mad at yourself for not doing.
So true. So true. So it's funny you brought up bake sale, because sometimes I say to my clients, do you want to be a cupcake mom or do you want to be a real mom? I call them the cupcake moms. Like, what is your quest in life? So, because I don't think the cupcakes are the most important. And, it's maybe it is the most important to you, but probably for people listening, the cupcakes are not the most important. Just saying.
And that's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. So tell me about guilt.
Guilt. Such a thing. It really is. It's real. I will say it's real. And so many of us go through it. And as someone who has recovered from being a guilt-ridden mom, I'll say that it's not easy to shake off, but it is a choice. We are choosing to wallow in that emotion. And I understand that your first thought isn't always easy to control, but take responsibility for your second thought. Be intentional about how you treat yourself in those moments, because we really should be speaking to ourselves the way we would speak to someone we love. And I don't know about you, but I would never tell my daughter that she wasn't good enough. I would never tell my son that he doesn't matter. And so why would I do that to myself in those moments where maybe I did forget to send them picture money on picture day, or to send the money for book fare. And I feel bad because I feel like my kid missed out on something. But how is feeling bad about it going to change something that's already happened? I'm going to take the lesson, give myself the win. Okay, next time I know what I'm going to do differently. Give snuggles and kisses and apologies and let it go.
Let it go. Let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I think I liked how you said the first thought. I can't even remember. Your second thought, be more intentional with your second thought. The first thought kind of happens. I call that your brain on automatic,
Mm-hmm.
and then your brain with intention. And it's so true. Because yes, I think automatic, what we're human. So those, right. And we feel like even sometimes people say to me, I'm not really good at feeling things. I always say, yeah, you are, because you're human. Everybody, every human feel like that's not a good or a bad. You're not good at feeling or bad at feeling. It's just feeling. So yes, you're going to feel, but then you can be intentional by what you're thinking. Your thought can then direct or trigger how you feel. So love that. Love that. So here's another aspect of guilt that has to do with moms that sometimes comes up that I'd be curious of your perspective on. As my moms that I coach become more involved in work or business, sometimes their mom friends change. They don't enjoy hanging out with the same mom friends, maybe, that they enjoyed hanging out with a couple of years ago. And there's something about that then starts to make them either feel guilty or less than or too grandiose. Like I don't know. Thoughts on that? What do you think?
I think it's very common as you grow for the people around you to change, because truly you are the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. And so as you are going for bigger things and focusing on your goals, you want to be around other women who are doing the same. Otherwise, it's hard for you to break out of the space you were in before. We won't be talking about the same things. You won't have the same kind of mindset. And also, they won't be encouraging you and calling you out the way the women who are in the same mindset would be. And so it's totally okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you axe them from your life. Maybe, when you see them, it's still friendly. It doesn't have to be awkward. You can still be loving and bubbly with them. But if your time is limited. So in my opinion, you should be very intentional about who you're spending your time with and who you're listening to, who you're leaning on, who you're venting to.
That's so true. Kids' friends change. Our kids' friends change, right? So yes, maybe you have the one buddy that you've had since kindergarten, but as they grow, their friends change. So why wouldn't ours?
Yeah, absolutely. And as our interests change, that's naturally going to happen. But that doesn't mean you're all dead to me if you're not in my inner 5 circle, right? We can still be friendly and still have a great relationship. I'm probably not going to call you when I'm upset about something or to celebrate with you, because I have a more aligned group, and that's okay. You probably do too.
So true. So true. Yeah. So I think it's hard sometimes to decide how, almost like when you decide how much freedom you're giving your kid, how, like, if you're going to let go of this friendship, are you completely letting go, or can you just like loosen it a little bit? They're still there, but they're not as closely tied to you. That's okay if they're not super tied to you, right?
And I think it's also okay for it to kind of happen naturally and slowly versus you being like, we are not hanging out anymore. I mean, I don't think that needs to happen. Right. I have some friends who I still consider very dear to me, who I never really talk to or hang out with anymore because my priorities have changed, but I still feel great feelings towards them. I don't feel any ill will towards them. And I don't think they do towards me either. We just it's a classic, we grew apart, and that's okay.
Yeah. And actually any relationship, any friend, romantic or friend, the relationship is comprised of what you're thinking. So you could still think of them as like you're one of your bestest of friends, even if you don't talk to them that often, because it's really just comprised of what you think. So that's an interesting point too. I think as we grow as moms too, where our time goes changes. So
Yeah.
like I remember back in the day, I spent a lot of time on the driveway, or I spent a lot of time, walking around the block. Or now I don't spend any time on my driveway. And I only walk around the block when I want to walk around the block, right? Not when I want to push a wagon. So you're in different environments. Like the circumstances are different.
Right.
So of course things are going to change. The bottom line is going to look different because you just have different circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the mommy and me friends might not be the friends I'm
Right.
hanging out with today.
Yes. So what do you see? Like if you said, all right, moms of the world, here are 5 things that you definitely need to do in order to keep yourself sane. What do you think what would those things be?
Okay. For number 1 is a mental dump, an intentional weekly dump of everything that's going on inside your brain. So it can be business related. It can be related to kids. It can be related to spouse, your own, like, I really want to clean that closet out kind of thing. Whatever's
Yep.
floating around in your brain, write it down. And it'll just, if you do nothing with the list, even if you do nothing, it will feel so good to get it out on paper. There's something very cathartic about releasing it from your brain. I am definitely an old school pen to paper kind of gal. But if you wanted to like type it out and the notes on your phone, whatever it would take for you to just get it out of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I recommend not on sticky notes because that can make you feel.
No. Well, you're speaking my language because I always say you need to do, I call them thought downloads.
Mm-hmm.
So like download everything that's in your brain. Or if you're going to do it once a week, use, like I'd say you need to do a weekly preview on Sundays. So you are speaking my language on that.
Yes, I totally agree with the Sunday thing. It tends to be slower, quieter.
Yep.
People can be occupied with football and not so needy of your time. And you can take those moments for yourself, which leads me to my number 2, which is you've got to take time for yourself every single day. And you are not too busy and the world is not going to stop for you to take, even if it's just 10 minutes. I wake up before my kids do. And if I actually have worked my way up to an hour before they wake up. But I know for some people that's like, are you kidding me? I can't get out of bed like anytime before my alarm goes off. Just slowly start inching your alarm clock 5 minutes earlier, 10 minutes earlier. And in that time, you do something that's just for you, for nobody else. You're not folding laundry unless you find that cathartic. You're not cleaning anything. You are meditating or reading a novel or having your first cup of coffee by yourself. You're taking those moments to center yourself and just get grounded before you hear mom, mom, mom all day.
Yeah. And I think the wake up time, when your kids are teeny weeny, the wake up time might be different than if they're teenagers, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to give yourself a little grace there. But you made me giggle when you said, Mom, Mom. I get that now in text. Mom, Mom. That's what the stage I'm at. The texting mom, mom, mom. Yes.
I'm starting to enter that stage.
It's super fun. And then we could have a whole discussion about that. What happens after that stage. So FaceTime and other ways of communication. All right. So what's number 3? What do you think the third thing?
So number 3 would be to be very intentional with your time. So I love the idea. What I do is I do the mental dump or the what do you say? The brain thought download?
I say it, thought download. Download all your thoughts. Like
yes.
It's the computer is downloading the documents.
So I do the download. And then I take it a step further and I go back through what I wrote down and I prioritize it. And I decide, going with my gut, what must I do? What should I do? I don't love the word should because it feels a little guilty, but whatever. What should I do? And what would I like to do? And I categorize them as A, B, C. And self-care is always a must do. Can't wiggle out of self-care.
Okay.
And then I calendar it accordingly. So the most important things are going in my calendar first, which means that some of those B and C items are going to be left on the paper and they're not going to make it to the calendar. But when I am working and I'm focusing on what I calendared, I'm hitting the most important things, the things that are knocking down my lead dominoes, that are moving toward the goalposts or moving the chains, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me feel at the end of the week like I'm winning, because although I didn't get everything done, and I never will, I got the most important things done. So I think being intentional with how you spend your time is very important when you're a working mom, because if you are not, somebody else will absolutely tell you what to do with your time. You will find yourself putting out fires, playing whack-a-mole, and at the end of the week feeling like, what did I do? What did I accomplish this week? I'm exhausted and I was running around, but nothing really got done.
Yeah. So I call that like, what's your weekly big three? Like, what are the three most important things that you want to do this week? And then each day have kind of a daily big three. So those are the things when you're the A's in your book.
Yes, exactly.
100%. 100%. Okay. All right. I can do that. I can do that.
Of course you can.
Yeah. What's number 4?
Number 4 is to make yourself your life a little bit easier by planning out your mornings the night before. Really plan them out. I'm talking put the coffee grounds in the filter, have the water in there, and the cup under the spout, so that all you have to do is press the button in the morning. Or for me, I love smoothies. So I'll put like all the ingredients together. The dry ingredients are in a little mason jar. The wet ingredients are in the fridge. And then I dump it all in the blender and I press the button. I plan out my outfit down to the accessories. And then I even have a sort of rotating uniform. So I have like 4 dresses I know that I look good in. I don't have to think about that. And if I don't want to get creative that night and what I'm wearing tomorrow, I'm like, I'm just going to wear that black dress with the flowers. And then the next day, I am cruising. I'm just pressing buttons, implementing, going. And I feel like I'm winning versus feeling like, and frazzled and like I'm already behind, even though maybe the time saved is 5 to 10 minutes. It's how I feel. And then I'm starting my day feeling more powerful, more productive versus like, I already want to go back to bed.
Yes. There's something about the outfit. I really love the outfit one with the uniform, because our kids sometimes have uniforms. Why can't we have uniforms? Right. And all moms really like uniforms. 99% of moms like uniforms because it makes it easy, right?
It removes decision fatigue. We all have it.
Totally. And actually, what we're really talking about here, it's funny you said that. I was like thinking, if this is really about making decisions ahead of time.
Yes.
It's really what this all boils down to, or making decisions ahead of time. And I think when we have, I call it decision debt, like you're in debt because you have so many decisions you haven't made, like you have so many debts you haven't paid off. It creates, in your business, it creates business lag, but it also, in your personal life, it creates kind of like life lag. Like you're spinning, this is when you feel like you're spinning your wheels and getting nowhere.
Yes. And it can be paralyzing, honestly.
Yeah. And then that paralyzing is hard to break out of until you start to become more intentional.
Yes, totally. Yeah. And why not? Why can't you be? There are so many things, especially when you think about your business self, that identity that gets stuff done. That person's very intentional. So why not? Why not just be intentional about everything else? It's totally available to you.
It is. It's just as easy to make the decision as to not make it. Like, it's not any easier to not make the decision.
Agree. Just make the decision, and then the next step will reveal itself. If it was quote unquote the wrong choice, okay, that's information you didn't have before, and now you know you need to pivot.
Yeah, that's the other interesting piece of the puzzle, is that sometimes we think, oh, it's just easier to like think about it tomorrow. Is it really easier to think about it tomorrow? I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. Not so sure.
I'm with you.
Interesting. All right. So what's the 5th thing?
The 5th thing is to practice your thoughts. Just practice those loving, kind thoughts, because a mom who is working has tremendous opportunity to feel like she is not doing anything well. There is a lot of room for criticism, a lot of, I'm a mess, I can't do this, other people are great at this, but I'm not, and I don't have what it takes, yada, yada, yada. That's a story you're telling yourself. So, and again, I know it's not easy to erase those years of self-doubt. We all have that. So just practice telling yourself a nicer story, practice being kind to yourself. So when you have those moments and you hear yourself saying, oh, I'm such an idiot, for example, you can pause and then correct yourself in your second thought and just keep practicing that until it becomes your new story.
Because everything really is a story.
Yeah.
Like we just create stories in our brains about everything.
100%. And we're so powerful with that. So let's harness the power instead of letting it run us on automatic.
I recorded an episode a while ago. I don't know what number it is, but it was the title something like If Your Life Were a Movie. And I think it's really interesting to think about if your life were a movie, what genre would it be? Would it be a comedy or a drama or an adventure? And then you're the main character in the movie and the movie hasn't ended yet. So what do you want this movie how do you want the next scene to go? And is it in color or is it black and white? Like what's going on? So
yeah, I love that. How do you want it to go? You get to decide.
Yeah. Like you're not I think sometimes we think we're in the audience and really we're the main character.
Yeah.
And
life is not happening to you.
It's not. And then on the flip side though, I think sometimes we think in our kids' lives that we are kind of the main character, but they're the main character.
Yes.
Right. And we just get to be in the audience there. Like we get to look at their, it's their journey. Like they're finding their way. We think we're up there kind of like pulling the strings, but it doesn't work that way, does it?
It really doesn't. And we can scream from the audience, don't go into the dark basement and do the best we can. But that's all we can do is the best we can. They are humans with decisions to make and lives to live.
Yeah. And we get to, I guess you could also think of, oh, this is an amazing opportunity that we get to watch this unfold, but we can't orchestrate it.
No, we can't. But we do our best to guide them.
We do. We do our best to guide. And I think going back to what you were saying in the very beginning of they're watching us.
They are.
They are so watching us and seeing what we're doing and not doing.
And
how we're doing it.
Right. They notice also when we settle and we decide not to go after things. And that's a mark that we leave on them for better or for worse.
Yes. And it's one of my clients told me the other day that one of her employees said to her something like, you seem exhausted. And she was exhausted. But then kind of she's showing up exhausted. And she's showing up exhausted for everybody. And that's not good for her kids. So she would blame her exhaustion on what's going on at home. And she would be bringing it into her business. And so it's not good for what's going on at home, but it's not good for your business either. So kind of interesting, like people notice.
Yeah. And that's where taking the time for yourself comes in. They are directly related. If you're not taking that time for yourself, you're not going to be at your best. And everyone in your life deserves your best. So why not give it to them? You're not taking away from anybody by carving that time out for yourself. And I think that is the biggest fallacy of our generation, is that we think if we take time for ourselves, we're selfish. And it's such a fallacy.
It is. I think it's kind of, I always think like, what do our kids want from us? They don't want us to be exhausted and overrun.
And impatient.
And
irritable.
Yeah. And they just haven't figured out how to maybe make that happen in their own lives. Although they have, like when we kind of get mad at them for just vegging out, that's their way of that's their self-care, right?
Yeah. We got to remember that.
Yeah. We got to remember that. So how can the listeners find more of you? How can they get more of you and your amazing wisdom?
So they can find me on Instagram. My handle is Nikki Oden. My website is youridealmomlife.com. And the podcast can be found wherever you download a podcast. It's called Love Your Mom Life on Apple, Spotify, iTunes. Is that the same as Apple? iHeartRadio, Amazon, everywhere.
Everywhere. Well, all
and
your favorite
the book as well.
Players. The book as well. Okay. Super. Well, I will have all of that in the show notes. Is there one thing you want to leave everybody with? One intentional thought that you want to leave my listeners with?
I want you guys to all think and realize that you are the center of your household. You are the center of your household. And when you feel fulfilled and happy, joyful, that spills over into everything you do, how you parent, how you show up, how your relationships evolve. And so always remember that and give yourself that permission.
Love it. Thank you so much. This has been super fun.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks for having me.
So, Nikki and I were chatting before we started recording, and she said to me, I teach working moms how to make their lives easier so they can go after their goals without feeling guilty. And I think what we shared today is totally helping you make your life easier and realizing that everything doesn't need to be so hard. It's hard only if you make it hard. It's your thoughts around it being hard. You have choices. So I hoped you enjoyed this conversation with Nikki, and go check out her podcast, Love Your Mom Life, and her book, But Definitely Wear Mascara. And if you want more help being the mom you want to be and running the business you want to run, I encourage you to go to andreaslinks.com and take one of the quizzes on there and figure out what may actually be happening. And then reach out. Let's have a conversation. You and I, let's chat about how you can change things, because it doesn't have to be this way. If you love this podcast, please share it with a friend. Let someone else know that there's a resource out there to help them level up their life. Until next week, remember, now is the time to level up. There's no better time. Stop waiting. Hey, listening to podcasts is great, but you also have to do something to kick your business up a notch. You need to take some action, right? So go to Andrea's with an S, links with an S.com, andreaslinks.com, and take the quiz. I guarantee you'll walk away knowing exactly what your next best step is to level up.